Welcome to Forbidden Planet TV. I'm Andrew Sumner, and today we have a special guest, an old friend of Forbidden Planet, the one, the only, Matthew Rosenberg. How are you, brother?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming back, mate. It is really always great to see you. And as we've just been doing off camera, always great talking about comics with you, mate. Yeah. And on that very note, we're here to talk about your new 12-part series from DC, available for pre-order right here from the links attached to this conversation. Task Force Z. Task Force Z. I almost said Task Force Z. Task Force Z. What can you tell me about Task Force Z?
Yeah, so Task Force Z is much like Task Force X, better known as the Suicide Squad. We start with the idea that it is people who are not very good people, bad guys, that the government has gotten a hold of to send them, to try and get them to redeem themselves by sending them on a mission against their will. What we've done is go a step further than the Suicide Squad. Rather than threatening to kill them, Task Force Z is villains who are already dead. So the government has a way to bring them somewhat back to life. And so the team is made of Bane and Man-Bat, Arkham Knight, Mr. Bloom, and a new character called Sundowner. And they're all corpses who are somewhere between alive and dead. And then leading the team as a field leader is someone who has a lot of experience with coming back from the dead. Red Hood, Jason Todd, is the field leader. Yeah. And so they are a team that is sent out on sort of missions where you think that they may not make it out alive. They are the team to go to. And so this is their attempt at redemption and attempt at getting their lives back, literally.
And mate, it's such a great concept. I mean, I love it does what it says on the tin nature of it, but it's such a beautifully simple idea. I'm amazed that nobody's come up with it before. And your lineup for this book, the characters are just so beautifully chosen. I mean, if you're a long-term fan of this universe, as you know I am, it's just so great to see all that. I can't wait to see what you're going to do with it, mate.
Yeah, I was really lucky because DC came to me and were like, we want to do something, and we were talking about it, and we were batting around this idea back and forth, and I said, it only really works if we could get really heavy hitters on the team. Like, you need a Bane or like really monstrous people like Bane or Man-Bat, and they just were like, you got him, who else do you need? And I was like, oh, I didn't realize this was that kind of conversation. And that's when I was like, well, I need Red Hood. And they were like, done. And I was like, okay, I guess I've asked for all I can ask for. And so, it's really, I mean, they're dream characters to write, and it's fun to get to write them in a very different way. Like, I think when people pick up the first issue, they'll see them, they're different than they expect. It's not what people expect, and it evolves as the story goes, like who they are and how they work in the book will change. So it's really, on the surface, it's a very simple pitch, but actually the book is a lot more complicated than that in I think a really fun way.
I mean, that's, I think, an interesting aspect of your work, because I often find that to be the case. It's like, there's the great, easily absorbable hook and concept. But the thing that I found repeatedly do is you burrow into that hook and concept, and then it's like, no, and now we're going here. And for me, that's the beauty of reading your work, is to see those turns that you take.
Well, thank you. Yeah, this is, I realized early on, I was like, there's a good chance that this will, a good chance to play to, I think, what a lot of my strengths are. And it's like, it's a pretty intense, brutal book, but like there's a lot of chance for comedy with these characters, like especially in this situation, and a lot of chance to do like weird personal stuff and dive deep on them. So I'm really excited about it. It's not just, I think a lot of people looked at it and were very excited by it. Like, the reaction has been amazing, but a lot of people just thought like, oh, this is Marvel Zombies, or this is Deceased, or something like that. And we're doing something very different. There's a lot more, there's a lot of humanity to our dead characters.
Yeah, what a wonderful way to put it, mate. And who's working on the book with you?
So we are incredibly lucky. It's Eddie Barrows is drawing it, and it's funny, he just came off doing the Red Hood book with Chip Zdarsky and Batman Urban Legends, and when they announced Task Force Z, we hadn't quite started yet, and Chip called me and he was like, "You're working with Eddie?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "He's a genius. Like, you're so lucky." And I was like, "Oh, cool. Like, yeah, I really like his stuff." And I was like, "That's a weird reaction from Chip. Like, Chip is very, like, he's very effusive with everyone he works with, but he's always very like, he doesn't throw around terms like that lightly. Like, he loves art and he loves comics, and he's always very generous to his creators. But he was so effusive about Eddie. I was like, huh, a little surprised. And then as soon as I started working with Eddie, I was like, oh no, he's a genius. This is like some of the most beautiful work, and the way he puts a page together, and just like his ability to move from just like the very horrific moments of the book, like we do lean into a lot of horror, and then to the humanity of it, is his ability to bounce back and forth is unrivaled. It's, I think people are going to be just in awe of what he does.
Mate, you're making me salivate with that description of his work. And what does it feel like, as a guy who's has always been into comics, has ended up writing comics? Do you have those like, oh man, I've got a sense check myself moment, when you're seeing that work come in, you think, man, I'm in the middle of this and I'm creating it for this dude?
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, there are certain times when you get, I mean, especially for me, I've always found this, like, I early on, I spent a lot of time trying to sort of suppress my fanboyness and be like, don't geek out about the people, your peers and the people you work with. And then after a while, I like, not only could I not suppress it, but I was like, why am I doing that? That's the best part, is like being excited about these things. And Eddie, when he sends in pages, like, I study his pages when they come in. Like, I feel like I studied like Jim Lee pencils when I was reading Wizard magazine as a kid, or like things like that, where you just look at it and you're just like, this is so cool. Like, there's times where I've just been like, found myself absently like tracing his lines with my finger, just like looking at it so closely, like zooming in to just see his pencil marks. And yeah, it's just overwhelming. It's just such a good feeling to work with people who are like really level up what you do. Like, it really pushes you to be better, but also it's just an awesome feeling to just be like inspired every single time. Every day I get an email from Eddie with art, and every day I'm like so excited. It's like the most fun thing to open.
I mean, I believe you. Well, mate, on the same basis, I just can't wait to open up the book. And an element of it that I'm really looking forward to seeing is what you both do with Bane, because my personal view is that Bane is a character who has always been best handled outside of the core Batman book. So my favorite iteration of Bane is the version that Gail Simone did in the Secret Six, which I thought was absolutely phenomenal. Okay. And she took a real kind of right turn with the character, and just did a whole bunch of things you didn't expect.
Yeah. I mean, Secret Six is definitely an all-time favorite book of mine. I think, I told Gail this once. I don't know her super well, but when I was first starting writing superhero comics, I said to her that like Secret Six to me is the book that every aspiring superhero comic writer should read, because it's just shows you that every character can be good. A good character, every character can matter, and you'll care about them. It's no one has done it as well as she's done it. Just like really elevate them. And so yeah, I mean, I definitely look to that when I'm writing Bane. But I think we're also just, we're in uncharted waters with him here. We're doing something new. He's dead. But he is a character, I think, at his core, who is very complex and very interesting. And this is him fighting for his life and fighting for his humanity, and doing it on a team with Red Hood, where they don't see eye to eye, but actually have a lot in common. And so I think that's something that I'm so excited to, like, we only touch on it at the beginning. People keep asking, like, how are Jason and Bane on the same team? And I'm like, just wait, like, there's a really big, great plan for that. That's like integral to the pitch of the book, is like Jason and Bane's relationship is what I stake the whole book on. But it's slow. It's not, I think people want to be like, how does Jason feel about, this and this, like these things in issue 1. And I'm like, no, Jason doesn't work that way. Like, it's going to be a while and we're going to get there. But like, it's something I'm really excited to dive into with them, and Bane in particular. I think he's definitely one of the most fun characters to write, for sure.
I believe it, brother. I can't wait to see what you guys have done with him, and to have done with the entire book, Task Force Z, which again, everyone watching Matt talk about this book can pre-order it from the links attached to this conversation right down there. Brother, it's always great to see you, and I'll see you again soon. Take care of yourself.
Thanks so much. You too. And,
yeah,
and thanks everyone for checking out watching.
See you soon, mate. Bye-bye. If you're enjoying watching Forbidden Planet TV and you're enjoying watching us talk to the world's most interesting and accomplished filmmakers, authors, artists, musicians, creators, subscribe right here. See you soon.